I'm Teonna.
And I'm Trav.
And this is I Now Pronounce You,
where we reflect on our experiences and give our opinions.
It can be hard to take the time to process everything life throws at us.
So we're making it time now.
We welcome you to
I Now Pronounce You.
Hey, hey,
hey, hey. Project Pat. Hey, blah, chicken. Hey, chicken head. Blah, chicken. Hey, chicken head.
Boy, please, whatever.
Chicken.
Married Part 2.
Part 2.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
So basically we moving on into Part 2 of our married episode because Trav cut me off.
We had to end it,
I know, but I was enjoying myself.
I know you did, sweetheart.
I think it's one of my favorite things to talk about is just being transparent about marriage because other people's transparency made me believe even harder into my own. And so
I agree.
So I just like that. So if you want to know what we talked about beforehand, listen to Married Part 1. But we're going to go ahead and get into Part 2.
Part 2. Yeah.
So, you know the 7-year itch is like a real thing?
I didn't know that until you mentioned it.
You've never, Travis Jamal Scott, you've never heard that before.
Never heard of the 7-year itch. I haven't. I've always thought of 7 as a heavenly number. I didn't think that 7 was. I always thought 7 was a perfection.
I feel like maybe I first heard it from my aunt, but I don't really remember. But the 7-year itch is a thing. There are articles online about it. If you are unfamiliar with it, but basically, a lot of marriages around 7 years, people start to feel the need either to step out or to end the marriage. So around that time. And the reason why I know, like, it's a real thing, because I once had a coworker many moons ago who around that 7-year mark, like, actually debated marriage with their husband. Like, they both actually debated it with each other. But they were able to pull through and have a strong marriage, and it continues to thrive. But they actually did, like, have those feelings around that time. And so we are, 2021, we will be 7 years into our marriage.
And I'm not worried about it.
I'm not worried either. But, I mean, I'm sure other people thought the same thing.
Yeah, but I always consider ourselves a little bit different from everyone else. So,
what do you think? Yeah. What do you think it is about 7 years that maybe makes people think that?
You're over the hump. You've been married for a few years, and
you're not newlyweds anymore.
You're not newlyweds. The honeymoon stage is over. You more than likely, after 7 years of being married, more than likely have children. The stress level rises, but for someone like for people like us, we've already gone against adversity, so it's not gonna. I just don't feel like it's gonna be one of those things for us. Like I don't feel that.
Babe, you know what I just thought about?
I don't feel that. What's up?
So, typically, when you hear a lot about people getting married, the first couple years they're trying to buy a home, like you said before, they're starting their families. So maybe like in the beginning you're so distracted, because you have so many things going on that when you're inching towards that 10-year mark, you kind of have maybe a little bit more time to reflect and think about the state of your marriage, and maybe people don't feel fulfilled, which
gotta work at it, man.
Which is honestly like an honest feeling, because if you're not putting in that work or you're not pouring into each other, you can kind of look over after 7 years and be like, who's this? If you're not growing together, you're growing apart. Exactly.
And I think that's a essential part, is trying to grow together and trying to understand each other more. Like, I feel like every year of marriage is like another opportunity to learn another aspect about my wife. Whereas, some people will be like, I know how shorty is and whatever. I want to learn something different about you every year. And I think that's what makes it exciting. Because you don't know every facet of a person until you spend years with them.
Before we got married, I think I had you kind of have to sit down with yourself and think about what are some of the things that are maybe difficult for you to deal with this person. Like, everybody has baggage. Everyone has some sort of baggage.
Absolutely.
So I had to look at what that baggage was and was I willing to carry that baggage with you.
Same here.
Just like you had to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, how many bags you had, it wasn't too many. And then as the years have been rolling down, like each bag has just been unloaded, unpacked, and folded and put into a drawer.
Do we play bag lady? Does that apply to both?
Bag lady,
You gon' miss your bus. Hey, you can't
all
do them
them bags
bags like that. Hey,
I bet
and
no one ever told you. Yeah.
all you can hold on to. Yeah, but is you.
I can't sing,
yes,
but
they do.
You are listening to a General Smallwood middle school chorus
Go ahead.
soprano
Hey, chill.
that stopped singing after the 8th grade.
Hey man, I wasn't all county chorus or nothing, but I could
you
carry
are
a
also
tune.
listening to a Mount Hope Nanjamoy Elementary School chorus student for 3 years and all county chorus.
Hey, talk to him, babe.
Shout out to Miss Perry.
Shout out Miss Perry. Hey, Miss Perry. I wasn't out here in the Chuck County, but I was yeah. Shout out Miss Perry.
I'm just saying. But anyway, what the hell are we talking about?
Yeah.
No, recap for me, babe. What were we talking about?
So honestly, I don't think that when we get back to the 7-year itch and people feeling like that finances play a factor early on in the marriage and a few years after actually having that opportunity to spend time with each other and second guessing your opinion. But I don't think that that's a factor for us, and that's where we left off.
Oh, I know what I was saying. I was saying like your bag started to unload and unpack.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that list of maybe things that we still don't agree on is maybe like 1 or 2 versus like the list of 5 that maybe we started with.
Right.
Our communication is definitely improved.
And to kind of touch base on the first episode, I was just saying that when you go into a marriage, you want to build together. It's something that you want to grow together, and you want to, just become a better person. And I was just saying that marriage has definitely done that for me. Career-wise, I've, just climbed up the ranks and just become a better person. We've achieved so much together as opposed to apart.
One thing that I feel like people don't really talk about is how you navigate finances.
Ooh, that's
like,
yeah.
That can be a tough one, especially if you aren't, like if you're just like middle, class folks where it's not an abundance of money that you could be so carefree, but it's just enough to get what you need to get done with a few extras. Like, so if you're in that position, how you deal with money is going to be different than if you are in a position where, money can just be flying and it's not a big deal.
How was your experience with me being the spender in the relationship, as we got married? How did you deal with that?
It was hard, and I had to bite my tongue a lot because I didn't want to step on toes, but at the same time, I was passionate about what I felt we needed, and I feel like your approach to money sometimes can be, well, if there's not enough in this moment, then just we're going to do the best we can and we're not going to stop living. Whereas my approach is, deal with things in a more dire aspect and try to put away something or try to be as smart as possible. But you kind of looked at things like, well, if it's not enough, then I'm not going to fret over every single purchase.
Well, I mean, you have to think about the mind frame. Also, too, if you've always been in sort of a survival mind frame, when you're in survival mode, it's like, we're going to do the best that we can with what we have, and we're going to make this work. But when you're not necessarily low class, when you're middle class, and you're working class, you can make adjustments, and you're going to feel as if you're less than middle class. But it's going to create opportunities as far as savings, and it's going to create opportunities as far as better credit.
I like that description too, working class, because we are both in fields that are definitely like blue collar jobs. They are, they're service jobs, really. Like we serve the community. And so everybody knows those positions don't get paid as much, but we use what we have together to be able to have a pretty decent foundation.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that's one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is like, but I feel like you just kind of answered it a little bit before we got on the mics. What are you most excited about, like, in this season of our relationship?
I'm ready to put the axe down. And
What the hell does that mean?
The axe down. When I tell you the axe down, I'm telling you that I had the opportunity to buy the fucking, excuse my French, but I had the opportunity to buy the cool blue and gray Jordan 13s, brother, for my Father's Day gift. And you know what I chose instead? What? I chose to invest in myself instead, and to look at the budget and make sure that we had the opportunity to make sure that we made savings. And outside of those savings, so
that's the season we're in.
That's the season that we're in, and I'm excited about it because I know that there are two things that you need in this world to move forward, and they are
credit and capital.
Ooh, I married a one, dog.
Well, when your husband was in banking for almost 10 years, then
then I know about it. Speak on it, baby.
Then he knows about it, and he reminds you that you need credit and capital.
She is your queen to be. I ain't gonna do the high pitch.
But yeah, I think I know we moved on to what we're excited about. I'm excited about that too, but it also just ties directly back to what we're saying about finances. And I don't think anyone can prepare you.
No, not at all.
For going through that, because that paycheck that you get is now, you know, you guys' paycheck, or however you decide to do it. But most working class people, you need both of those paychecks in order to sustain.
Remember the conversation we had earlier today, when we were talking about, I think we were just on the phone chopping it up, because me and my wife still talk to each other like we boyfriend and girlfriend. If she on her way to the grocery store, I pretend like she had her own crib and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually talking to her and shit.
You legit text me.
What you doing?
No. What did you say? No, you said, you got a minute? And I'm like, nigga, I'm going to the grocery. What are you talking about?
That's how you keep the relationship spicy.
This
you know
is
what I'm saying? Yeah. So I had we had the conversation earlier, and we were just talking, and we was like, babe, remember when before we got married, and even the year that we got married, we had separate insurance policies. We had separate car notes.
Yes.
You didn't have a car note. I had one.
No, I didn't. I loved it.
And we just kind of cut the income in half, and it was like, all right, here's my part, here's your part, and we put it together.
We were trying to be equitable.
Exactly.
So, like, we split the rent down the middle. Okay, so we lived in our apartment for about almost a year before we got married, and so because we wanted to come in that situation, like, okay, we're going to evenly carry the weight. I had just graduated, and it was my first year teaching. I was teaching third grade, and I think you didn't want to feel like, okay, she covering majority of the bills, so we about to split this down the middle.
Right.
So we split the rent down the middle. So we had to pay like $700, something like that, a piece. It honestly was cheaper than that. I think we had to pay like $6 something.
Yeah.
A piece, $6.25. And then, like, you paid the Smecco bill and the water bill, I think.
Yeah, I paid the electric and the water.
And then I paid 2 weeks of daycare. You paid 2 weeks of Tamara's daycare. And then you paid your car note. And then we didn't count our separate bills. We were like, and then you're going to pay your separate bills. So your separate bills was your insurance. I had my own insurance. You had your car note. I didn't have my car note. You had your own cell phone bill. I had my own cell phone bill. And then the groceries, I feel like I took care of the groceries. And that was how we did it. And, like,
just wasting money, pretty much.
When we finally combined things, guys, we were like, oh, my God. We were paying all this money in insurance. Like, your insurance as a single man you were paying like almost $300 a month.
Ridiculous.
And I was paying like $100 a month for my car. And we combined it, we were paying like $150. And you were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like,
yeah. I mean, fellas, if you don't have your wife on your insurance policy, you might want to add her.
like it was really good to do that. But I say that all to say, like, we had to do baby steps into it. Because then when we got the house, or right before we got the house, we got a joint account with direct deposits. And
y'all
it's like,
remember that episode of Martin and Gina when they had the joint account? Oh, baby, ain't nothing but the joint account, baby.
Oh, Lord. And so both of your checks are going in there. The only caveat that I had, or the only thing that was different, was I had one account that was separate that I didn't want to lose, and so I had to have a certain amount going to that. So I would say like 90% of my check went to one account, and then 10% or maybe like 10 to 15% went to this secondary account.
And 100% of my check went to that joint account.
100% went to the joint account. I encouraged you to have your own, but you know.
Eventually I did. A few years after, I did get, the whole M&T thing going on, but it wasn't enough to be significant.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
So we just like use this account, and so sometimes, guys, like that can spur different conversations. Like, well, why are you going to 7-Eleven every day on your lunch break? There's food at home. Like, pack it. You know what I'm saying? Or tell me the type of things that you want to eat, and then when I go grocery shopping, I'll pick those things up.
It's a tough conversation if you're so accustomed to spending freely.
Ooh, or that search bar. Like, if you type in a certain store and then you can see how much money a month they spend on that. Or, like, if you know there's online things and you type in that and you see how much money they spend on that. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely a lot of conversations and quirks to work out.
The strange thing is that spending time in finance, you can see everyone else's spending habits, and you, for some reason, you can just judge their spending habits. But then when it comes to yours, you're just completely, like, irrelevant. It's like, oh, I do what I want,
And I am frugal Fran. So it's like,
yeah,
it could be a week and a half or a week, and I have not, there are no transactions out of my bank account. Like, zero. I don't stop.
Yeah.
I just don't.
And she shared that same mind frame with me. And you know what? You know what I do, guys? I withdraw like $20 or $30 on payday, and I was famous for I'm a DMV guy, so in the DMV there are certain drinks and things like that we get on a daily basis. My crutch was Arizona teas. I loved the Arizona green teas, so I would.
But you can get a case
those
at Aldi's, dog, for like $4.
Facts.
Like, why spend $1 a day? Like, I don't.
Yeah, so you spending $30 a month when you can spend like $4 a month.
And that's just how my brain works. And you can call me y'all can call me frugal. You can say I'm cheap, whatever. Like, I didn't come up with much of anything, and I just can't. I don't know. I can't get with it. It just bothers me. Like, it bothers me.
And I love I love Slim Jims, and DMV gonna respect this, hot fries. I love Andy's hot fries. So every morning when I head on the way to work, if my gas was on a good state, I would go and get my Arizona tea, and I would go get my bag of hot fries, and that was like $2 a day. But you think about that $2 a day, that's $60 a month, and budgeting wise, that's a chunk of money that could be contributed to somewhere else. If you multiply that $60 a month by 12 months, it's quite a bit.
One thing that irritates me is you will not fill your gas tank all the way up. So we have a gas budget, guys.
Wipe me down.
And I'm like, all right, Trav, for 2 weeks, because he has to drive further. I don't drive far. For 2 weeks, you have a gas budget of like $90, $75, $90, it depended. This is what you got to work with.
And if you know
Trav
me,
will go.
the gas budget is also the snack budget.
Yes, he will fill his car to a half a tank and then use that money to get snacks, to do whatever, get a beer, do whatever. And then before payday would be like, I'm gonna have to swipe out the account because I'm gonna need gas. What are you talking about? You should still have gas. Nah, I went to the 7-Eleven like 3 times. So yeah, nah, that gas gone. And it's like,
it get like that.
So anyway, I say that all to say that, finances are something that you're gonna have to be flexible on, and our goals did not align until late last year when we started saying, okay, we just paid off our cars and then we had to get another car note, but we had paid off our cars at the time, and we said 2020 was going to be the year of fixing our credit and doing what we needed to do. And the fact that I got so excited because we both felt the same way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I didn't nag him on it. I just kind of let things go. I would state my opinion, but I knew that things had to iron itself out.
You know when it made sense for me?
What?
Is when I sat there for years and I've been telling you all of these finance options, and then it just snapped to me. It was like, wow, all of the things that I've been instilling in her finance-wise, she's already been living that lifestyle. So it's like, all I've been doing is enhancing the lifestyle that she's already been living. And it's just like, how can I sit there and continue to like share with her, oh, baby, we need capital to do things that we need to do. And it's just like, well, the way we can get capital is you stop going to 7-Eleven every day in Arizona, or stopping at 7-Eleven and getting a dollar cup of coffee, when we have Folgers at home, instant, whatever. Or cold brew at home.
I don't mind the dollar coffee. I had gotten to it for a little bit, but I'm caffeine sensitive. But I had got into it for a little bit, and I can, especially with that 7-Eleven app, I can justify, $5.50 a week on coffee. But the issue is, like, you're grabbing the coffee and other things. I was just grabbing the coffee when I did it.
So I pretend like I'm fitness based, which I'm trying to get in my mind frame to do that now. I will grab a bag of the 7-Eleven cashews, which is like $3.44.
We buy a bag of cashews from Trader Joe's for $7.99 a bag. Break it down into sandwich bags, man.
I know, man.
We getting there, guys. It's a work in progress.
I'm from PG, man. 7-Eleven is
don't use that as an excuse.
It's just like you go to the 7-Eleven, you get what you need, and you roll out. I'm sorry.
So, we talked about all this growth and the happiness that we feel and all that kind of stuff. But what can we do to make our relationship even stronger? Because, that's always, like you said before, is going to be some type of work in progress. So what do you think we can do to make it stronger? I think making, and we've been doing it on quarantine, I think making, like, time together. Like, this podcast, it's not really about, let's, have these conversations and share them with everybody. It was more of, so Travis is really into engineering and producing tracks and, making music and helping others make their music as his form of art. And I really like, we both really like having conversations and talking. And so we felt like this would be a project that we could do together that would, one, make us a priority, and two, like, just have something that we can use both of our creative energies on to make something together. And so that's what I think will continue to make our marriage stronger, is finding things that we can do together. Because honestly, like, I could be in the room trying to work on a story that I want to write, or reading a book, or zoning out, and he could be in the basement for hours working on, production and things like that. But this makes him stop, still have fun because it's something he likes to do, and we get to bond and have important conversations and kind of reflect.
I agree.
So is that the only thing that you think will make us stronger? Is that?
Yeah, just to briefly speak on it, I think that it's awesome to do this together. For one, it's just it like all the things that you said were amazing. Being able to sort of put our gifts together, and be able to combine both of our strong suits together. But it kind of makes me want to relate back to earlier in the conversation when we were talking about combining finances. How come we don't do that with gifts? How come relationships don't do that with gifts? So we can combine, finances, but hey, this is your strong suit, sweetheart. This is my strong suit, sweetheart. Let's put this together and create a dynasty. And I think that the podcast was the beginning of us realizing that, hey, maybe we can work together on certain ideas, and maybe this can work. So,
yeah, I feel like it's a pastime that we will throw out into the universe, but it does carve out time. Like, before I came downstairs, Tamara said, "Oh, have fun on your podcast, mommy." And, like, she knows, you know what I'm saying, that this is our time to kind of work through those things and record. And so she respects that. So allocating time, just like you should for your health, just like you should for your friendships, just like you should for anything else, you should also allocate time for your marriage.
I agree.
And sitting down and watching a movie or a show, those things are great too. But when you get to show your gifts or your passions,
you don't vocalize your ideas, via movie. Even though movies are sweet because
they can spark conversation.
Yeah, and you can have banter in between movies. So I completely agree. But, it's something about being intricate or having that intimate moment with things that you hold dear. Like, for instance, you're writing. If you share a piece that you've written with me, that's intimate, Or if I share, a production with you, that's intimate,
But how often are we really listening to each other?
Exactly. That's my point.
I've probably listened to 100 beats in 14 years, probably more than that. And at some point, like, they start to meld together, or you're listening, but you're not actively listening. And I've read you, I don't know how many poems and stories over the last 14 years, but
yeah, at what point does that marriage line kind of like blur together where you're like, yeah, baby, that's awesome because I love you and I think you're cute. So, yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
But when you switch it up and you kind of do it in a different platform, I feel like it just brings some freshness to it all. That's all. And your spouse isn't responsible for your happiness.
No.
So you have to have things that you both enjoy outside of your relationship. But, like Trav was saying, it really is nice when you can kind of combine those, like your finances. So I thought that was dope.
Yeah, I agree.
Intimacy is so important in your relationship. So,
and that's not only knocking boots.
No.
Stop y'all thinking that it's knocking boots.
That's actually really important too, to, maintain that as well. But yeah, sometimes your spouse just wants you to listen and not fix things. And we had to learn that. Like, if I'm telling you something that happened in my day, you'd be like calculating ways for me to fix it. And I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to listen. And same with you.
I'm still working on that because, guys, when you're naturally like trying to, like, I don't know, it's something about your wife, man. Like, that's who you want to protect all the time. It's just your wife, your kids, your family, you put that arm of protection around them. It's just a natural state of mind, So it's hard for me to listen, but I'm learning how to just listen,
Yeah. So, some boundaries that you have to have in your marriage. What are some of those? What are some boundaries you think that, like, people should have?
I think not allowing, but giving that respective space. Okay. I think that's important because otherwise your thoughts and your opinions start to merge together and you become one opinion or you become one thought process.
Because we definitely we have some things that we gel on, but there are definitely some things that we are extreme opposites on.
Yeah.
And I think as we record, we also will kind of even see those, like, that we have difference of opinions.
Yeah, respect those opinions and allow those opinions to flow freely. Even if you don't agree with it, try to see the other side and the other perspective and have a respectable debate. Even if it's like, okay, let's agree to disagree on this debate, but understand where we're coming from, because ultimately we're still a unit, we're still a team, you know. So that you know, when it comes to that's
Knowing
my,
your partner's looks, like when they, make a certain facial expression. I still, after 14 years, don't really know when you're upset with me or not. Like, because
yeah.
sometimes you're just irritated at the world, and I feel like, did I do something? Did I miss something?
I'm very rarely mad at you. I can't think of a few times off of my hand when I'm mad at you. But when I'm mad at you, like, you can tell because I'm getting into that conversation, and I'm a rambler. So, like, sometimes we'll get into the top of the conversation and you'll be like, oh, I think he's mad at me. But you won't know unless you listen to 20 minutes of my runoff, you know, like, but what I've noticed in other relationships, and that's part of the conversation we talked about in episode 1, was, people walking with you, is that a lot of men actually do ramble, and unless the wife gets to the end of that conversation, they won't realize that it's like, man, maybe this dude is just frustrated from, like, all of the shit that life has just been putting on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And really, I'm actually his comfort, and that's why he's coming to me and having this conversation with me. But really, he's not mad at me, I don't think guys are really ever really mad at their wives. I think it's more so like a frustration, and it's just like, man, I just needed you for like 3 seconds, dog, to just hear me out. You know what I mean? Like, just let me just talk my shit real quick and get this shit off my chest, and then after this, we can go get some rest. But
Ooh, I have like a little, not really a rapid fire, but what do you think, or how can you define what you need in a wife? No elaboration. Just tell me what you need in a wife.
I need a good listener. I need comfort. I need understanding, and I need good sex.
Oh, Lord, Trev.
Facts.
You took mine. I was definitely going to say I need understanding. I need someone who was just going to sit there in some moments with me without saying anything. Yeah, I guess if the sex was bad, that would be a bad thing.
Yeah, that would be trash.
That would be bad. I don't know. I think understanding is just such a big one.
Understanding is huge.
It's such a big one. Ooh. Oh, no, that goes with understanding. I just need someone who's reflective,
Yeah, and I'm reflective. Hey, holla at me, man.
What would you define marriage as? I've never looked up the definition or anything, but, like, how would you define marriage?
I don't need time. Marriage is a collective unit between two people that understand each other and that are willing to go through the trials and tribulations of life.
Okay. I think marriage is a growing relationship and journey that two people have decided to use through commitment, or to do through their commitment.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know what the real definition is? I just Googled it.
What's that, babe?
The legally or formally recognized union of two people as partners in a personal relationship, historically and in some jurisdictions, specifically a union between a man and a woman. A combination or mixture of two or more elements. What? That's it.
And that's it.
And that's it. So
that's what the state defines as a marriage.
So I'm sure, in the future there will be maybe some other facets of marriage that we think of or that we can come up with. But this is pretty much it for this one. What is your lesson or takeaway from this episode?
To collectively combine things in marriage, whether it be, well, more so use each other as like a support beam. Definitely stand on your own 2 feet, but don't look to your spouse as a crutch. More so look at your spouse as being able to add those 2 to 3 inches to the the poles of that you're standing on, or that
Pillars.
podium that pillar, or that podium that you're standing on, to raise you even higher above where you are. And all you have to do is just love them and care for them, and show that same concern that you show for your own well-being to your wife. So that's
Mine
just
is my biggest takeaway is about our finances, which shows you that it may not always be an easy road. You may not agree on it, but you have to just kind of work through and see the journey. And if you know that the other person is trying and that they are willing and that they will get there, that it'll be all right, because you can have disagreements in marriage and still be right for each other. You still can make it work. So don't feel like because you believe one thing and they believe something else that you can't eventually get there. Because you do have to be flexible. I have to let Trav spend frivolous money for quite some time before he came to my side.
Yes. It took some time, but
All right, guys. Bye.
good night, guys. T, can we do the Cat in the Hat? I'm talking about the Cat in the Hat.
Used to do smack.
Now he does. Hey, can't get back.
Take it away, take it away, take it away. You were so random. Where did that come? Back when I got, this was random. Bye, everybody.
Good night, guys.